is a Wednesday edition, Jay Barker Show, and we got Scott Moore from My Talk SEC, Lars Anderson as well, presented by Coca-Cola, and don't forget to share a Coke with a friend or family throughout this next season of basketball we'll get into. Actually, today at 1 o'clock, Brian Passing going to join us, so we'll get a chance to talk with the color analyst of the Crimson Tide. Yeah, talking about the big matchup tonight in Tuscaloosa with Alabama and the Auburn Tigers, and some of the comments from Bruce Pearl as well leading up into this game, and a lot of coaching changes going on as far as NFL, from college to NFL, Joe Brady, and also we'll talk about some high school stuff that's happened as well and some moves there, but a lot going on. Guys, good afternoon. Hope you're doing well, and welcome in this Hump Day edition of the Jay Barker Show.
Yeah, the LSU National Championship celebration didn't last very long with Joe Burrow gone, and man, the big story yesterday, Joe Brady taking on a job with the Carolina Panthers. And man, I'm telling you, I've never seen a team win a national title and then the fan base go poof an hour or two after they started celebrating. Because, Lars, they were celebrating well into about 2 or 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon. But it was a collective, are you kidding me? And so, I mean, listen, this is a big-time dynamic. No Burrow, no Brady. Probably no Justin Jefferson, probably no Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Enjoy the championship, enjoy everything that happened. But man, LSU fans are like, golly, man, are you kidding? The tangible things that we had that brought to this offense they're gone all overnight. So it is a big discussion, something we can get into today.
Yeah, it's a major hit, no question, losing Joe Brady. I think the perception and the reality was that he was the brains behind that transformational offense and most prolific offense in college football history. Joe Burrow had the best season in college football history, the best single season. But you can't fault him for taking this substantial move up to be an offensive coordinator in the NFL at age 29, and it's
pretty significant race.
It is. I mean, his rise has been meteoric. Obviously, just a couple years ago, he was still in college at William and Mary, and now he is offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers. And I think, the movement in the NFL is toward younger coaches. But I think this is a bit of a risk by Matt Rule elevating Brady into this position simply because he's never been a coordinator before.
Yeah, but I do think that, he was passing coordinator and
but not offense. Not
a lot of those plays. He's been in the NFL before with the New Orleans Saints. Spent some time at Penn State as well under Joe Moorhead, who, by the way, is going to Oregon. Looks like to be the office coordinator.
Yep.
But he's young, yes. We see a lot of young movement. We've seen some of the great ideas coming. And I think the biggest thing is that the RPO game right now is becoming such a big deal. Cam Newton being at Carolina Panthers, Matt Rule must think this is a way to get this implemented in a better way, in a quicker way, with new ideas. And I think that's why they like the fact that Joe Brady could come back in the NFL and be the coordinator. I mean, he told the Carolina Panthers when he's hired, this is the guy I want. And you're going to hire him as the head coach. I'm going to go after Joe Brady. And he targeted him very, very early on.
Be interesting to see, too, what they do with Cam Newton. We don't know. I think Matt Rule's going to look that over. Mm-hmm. And do they draft a guy or do they trade Cam? But we'll see. But I'll tell you this, too. The key to this offense this year, and people were like, where did Jamar Chase come from? Well, Jamar Chase was the number one wide receiver in the country 2 years ago. He was kind of left out of the bag last year. He developed. And then Justin Jefferson, who was just an average receiver, he became a go-to guy. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, they had all the pieces, but to me, it was Jamar Chase that was the difference maker in that offense. And he was the guy that just had a historical season from a wide receiver standpoint. I mean, nobody could guard him all year long, and he made big play after big play for LSU. But Burrow's ability to find him, and they were attacking the best player on the field every year. I mean, every season. Trevon Diggs at Alabama, they targeted him, Jay, the first game. And then the other night, A.J. Terrell, the best defender Clemson had, they went after him time and time again. And A.J. Terrell he had no answers.
Yeah.
So give Jamar Chase as much credit for this offense as anybody as well.
All right, normally I see him on TV, and he's drinking a Gatorade, he's riding his bike and working out with his girlfriend or wife, and that's not Dwayne Wade. That's Antonio Langham.
I was waiting for Gabrielle Union to be in here with him. I was like, hey, where's Gabby?
What's happening, my man? How are
What's
you?
going on, baby? Everybody doing all right?
Doing well. What
Good,
you think
good.
about that national championship game on Monday night?
Hey, it was a good game, man. It was a good game. I enjoyed it. I thought Clemson was getting ready to just pull away with it, but
I did too.
LSU was able to figure out what Clemson was doing to him, and man, Joe Burrow is so cool, man. I mean, as poised as possible. If I'm the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals, I call his daddy after the game. Look, what will it take?
You hire him too.
Yeah,
you bring him in.
What can we do to get this? Can we start negotiating now? I'm telling you, man.
It's clear cut. I mean, yesterday I expressed my great enthusiasm for the Bengals having the first pick in the draft. I think
you were downright giddy.
Yeah,
they got yes. I have a man crush on Joe Burrow. Just the class that he showed after the game, thanking everybody in the facility, from the janitors to the people who maintain the lawn. I mean, it was just. It's like this. He's too good to be true, so as a Bengals fan, you got to be very excited.
I like the dude though. He's a great guy, and he showed that out in the post game interviews and all that. But hey, there's a little swagger to him now. I like the fact when he threw that one touchdown and he looked at his ring finger like, yeah, baby. It's on now.
He said, we've already got it measured. Yeah, they got measured, by the way. People were like, but that was cocky. No, they got measured for rings after they won the SEC title. And you just need one ring measurement, 10.5.
That's right, yeah.
He's good. He's good to go now.
For the SEC championship game, yeah.
Right.
And then they'll just use that one measurement.
Exactly. That was just motivation, man.
Sure it was.
I go in and we get our ring finger measured, and hey, that's that extra motivation. And we had a ring fingers measured, so that we got to win it now. But it was a good game to watch. My boy, he was excited on the sideline, and then you could just see the air being taken out of him. That boy, I was like, Brent Venables. He tried the loss. I think when the linebacker was ejected for
Skowski,
target,
man,
no doubt.
Anytime you lose a guy named Skowski, you're in trouble.
It took the wind out of themselves there.
Because then his son had to go in. Brent Venables' son, who's a true freshman, Jake Venables, played very well this year, but he was having to make all the calls in the third quarter with the game on the line.
Well, that shouldn't have been a problem. He's at home with his dad most of the time.
He should know that defense as well as anybody. Yeah. Tough situation.
But that was a very costly thing for them, and more psychological and emotional probably than anything else. And we talked about this yesterday, Antonio. To me, that rule needs to be changed. I was talking to one of the SEC refs last night at a basketball game, and we were discussing this. And he agreed. He's like, it needs to be not an ejection at that point in time. It needs to be whether it's more penalties or a loss of a possession, not a possession, but not being able to be a part of that particular series. You got to sit out a series of plays to where, because the reason they called it was not because it was something going against the offensive guy, it's protection for the defensive guy. As the ref said on TV, whether it's from the toe to the head, it doesn't matter. He lowered his head, crown of the helmet, and we got to do something about that. I don't know if an ejection at that point in time or any time in a game is, because think about this. If I'm running a quarterback sneak, what's the first thing I do?
Lower your head.
I lower my head, the crown of my head, and go straight in. If a running back's coming in, he wants to get down, he does the same thing, lowers his head.
How many times we heard a guy say that on the air? Man, he lowered his head, got that extra yard. But we mentioned this yesterday, kicking a guy out of a game. Sean Wade also made a great tackle in the game against Clemson in the playoff game. It was a huge play. It was 4th and 19, and then they went back. They went back and reviewed it and called it. That's what I didn't like. If you don't see it on the field, go to the next play. But they stopped the game, reviewed it, and go, oh. And I didn't think
it's all about man. I'm telling you, it's all legal stuff.
I understand they want to protect the guys, man.
I didn't see
they're
one of those
taking,
plays being malicious.
They're taking the out of football.
They are,
man.
They
They're
weren't
taking
malicious
the
hits,
out of
that's my
football,
point.
man. And I understand. We want to. There's a lot of concussion deals and the whole nine, and we are trying to protect football players. But at the end of the day, you are playing football, a gladiator sport, a collision sport, and no matter how you try to adjust your body, if I'm coming in full speed at you and I'm locked and loaded, and you telling me at the last second, Jay as the quarterback, he adjusts or he ducks to protect himself from the blow that's coming at him, and I drop my head, then all of a sudden now it's targeting. Come on, You can't tell me to pull up right when I get there.
I thought the play in Ohio State and Clemson, I thought that play was Sean Wade. That changed the entire ball game because Clemson got the 15-yard penalty, went down and got back in the ball game. But Ohio State lost their best defender, okay? Sean Wade is the best defensive back at Ohio State. All apologies to Jeffrey Okudah. But that was you take him out of the game, it changed the whole.
Well, God, if they hadn't left him in the game, that probably would have went the same way.
Yeah.
How many times?
That game would have probably gone the same way.
How many times do you think you would have been called for targeting Antonio?
None, because I didn't tackle. None at all.
You just broke up passes. You just broke up passes.
That's it, baby.
That's what AJ Terrell should have done.
One third of the world is covered in water. I cover the other third.
That's not true. This guy could come up and tackle, knock guys down, and but you always went low.
I was smart.
Yeah.
I was 75. Who am I gonna knock down?
Yeah. Taking the feet out under you. Oh my goodness. All right, we got a lot to get into today. We got Alabama-Auburn coming up tonight, basketball, so a great matchup there in T-Town. And we got some comments from Coach Pearl. We got actually the color analyst, Brian Passing, will be with us coming up at 1 o'clock. Don't forget, Cardiac Solutions is all about saving lives. Along with their partners, they've developed world-class AED programs across North America for more than a decade, and including deployments from multiple Fortune 500 companies. They offer a comprehensive portfolio of AED program solutions. And again, AEDs are defibrillators, which includes AEDs, AED trainers, accessories, program compliance training, and AED monitoring. Cardiac Solutions is your trusted AED program partner. To learn more, go online at cardiac-solutions.net. That's cardiac-solutions.net for more information. We can save lives for $1 a day with Cardiac Solutions. All right, we'll continue. Antonio Langham, Lars Anderson, I Talk SEC, Scott Moore. I'm Jay Barker. We're live from ABX, and we'll be back.
You're listening to The Jay Barker Show, live from the AVX studios in downtown Birmingham.
I think Luke Kuechly, man, it was just one of those times when the season is over with and things didn't go as the way they wanted them to go. Then you hire a new coach, so now everything for him as a veteran is getting ready to start over again, and he's probably at that point like, I've had a lot of concussions, and I'm ready to get away from the game. But it's just the process of going through coaches and coaching staffs, and he didn't probably with Love Rivera, so he didn't really want to see him gone. So it's going to take a little time. He'll go sit at home. As long as he doesn't sign the retirement papers, he's good. He can say, I'm retiring 100 times over. But I think at some point he'll sit back and he'll reevaluate it. And I'm sure the head coach over there will give him a couple of calls and coordinators and everybody else, and he'll sit and he'll think about it. Then you'll see another article pretty soon, and he'll be like, well, I think I'm ready to come back.
Talk about the process of retiring. You said as long as he didn't sign the retirement papers. Talk about what that means and how that, if he did sign retirement papers and then decide to come back, does that free him up to be a free agent to another team?
If he retires and signs the retirement papers, he's done. But I can
never come back.
He can come back.
Okay,
yeah. He can come back,
but he didn't have to go back to the team he was at. He's got
I don't know. I think they was unless he's an unrestricted free agent.
Right.
Unless he's an unrestricted free agent, I think they would still own his rights.
Do you guys think
what Gronk did? The same thing happened with the same thing that happened with Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
Do you guys think
he retired? But if he was getting ready to come back, if he came back, he was going to still be. The Detroit Lions would still own his rights.
Yeah.
You guys think that this is an emerging trend that we're going to see more of elite players retiring at a young age? Like I said, Kuechly was 28. Patrick Willis, he retired at age 29. Calvin Johnson retired at 30. Gronk was 29, and Andrew Luck was 29. I mean, these are all elite guys who seemingly had more football in them, but the risk of the game wasn't worth it to him anymore. Do you think we're going to see more high-profile NFL players walk away at a younger age?
I do think so because of the money.
More money.
Yeah, a lot more money they can make early on. And once they get past that second contract.
Right, all these guys are already in their second contract, so they've made a truckload of money. Kuechly has. But Luke's, as Antonio mentioned, he's had a lot of major injuries lately, particularly concussions. And you could tell this past year missed a lot of time with a concussion, and the year before too. And I think with everything that's happened in the league, with all the head injuries, we talked about that earlier about targeting. Luke Kuechly is just he is a student of the game, the coach on the field, and a very smart, bright, intelligent guy. So I hope he does have an opportunity to come back, but I do want to see Gronk back in the lineup. I think the game is.
Let's look at the bigger picture of this whole thing. A lot of these guys, it's just like working a regular job you've been at for years and a number of years. Sometimes you need that year away to rejuvenate. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times these guys are making so much money now, they can afford to step away for a season and take that break, rejuvenate the bodies and all this. Andrew Luck will be back. Regardless of what he said, he'll be back. And then when you're so used to competing at a high level for so long, and now all of a sudden your body is not responding the way you want to, you get discouraged because I'm an elite athlete that's been competing at a high level for so long. Now I can't do it. And a lot of these guys need to step away from the game, get a year away from it, rejuvenate themselves, and then they come back. Gronk will be back, but he needed a year away, rejuvenate, try to give his whole body a chance to heal. Luke Kuechly is going to be the same way. Andrew Luck the same way. These guys, the competitive juices in them is not going to allow them to sit at home for good. Some of these guys, they're retired though. They just couldn't, and the bodies wouldn't respond no more. So
do you think that's more? You talked about the trend of retiring.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the trend? It's going to be guys will step away for a year or two, then maybe come back, and they might even do it earlier than 29. They may look at it at 25, 26, and they say, I'm going to take a year or two off, then come back. I mean, that to me, that's a real gamble because you know how quickly you're replaced like that. I mean, you better be a major superstar in order for that to happen.
That's what I was just about to say. Yeah. More than likely, the guys that's going to do this are the high-profile superstar guys that they know ownership is going to say, all right, man, go get you a year away from this and get it back, and we'll have a spot for when you come back. And that's usually going to happen with the high-profile guy, the superstars in the game.
Yeah. Do you think if Gronk does go back, that'll keep Brady at the Patriots organization? A lot of speculation about him going out to California and maybe going with the Chargers or something like that. But I think if they get Gronk back, I think Brady comes back too. You've already got Josh McDaniel that's sticking around too. Belichick was like, you're not going anywhere. You're staying right here. So they need to keep Brady in the fold. But I thought that was the one piece that they just didn't have this year. Brady didn't have a security blanket all year. Ben Watson did a really good job, but he's not Gronk.
And Lars, I think Gronk coming back gives Brady leverage. In the deal, big time.
Yeah, and I personally don't see Gronk coming back. I mean, we've seen him in interviews be very emotional about leaving the game and just everything that the game took out of him, and all. I mean, we all know the big hits that he took, and Kuechly was the same way. Kuechly was a violent player. And I personally, and I don't think Andrew Luck's coming back. I don't think any of these guys are coming back. And I think also it's like you said, Jay. Once you're replaced, it's tough to get your job back.
Yeah.
And also, is there a diminishment of skill that you're going to experience by being away from the game for a year, even though you are perhaps still at the end of your athletic prime?
Yeah.
But
probably a year, probably not. I mean, if you're away for 2 or 3 years, then yes. But a year, I think, is enough time to maybe you need some recovery, injury-wise, just mentally getting away from it, getting that hunger back for the game and for practice and the meetings and just the long journey that it takes to go through a season. But, man, if he came back I know I would be definitely happy. I know a lot of my friends would be happy that are big-time New England fans, but I think it would give Tom Brady not only leverage but a lot of confidence and knowing what they could do offensively.
Gronk's good for the game of football. He's such a flamboyant personality, but man, he's a dominant tight end too. He's the best. I think he's the best tight end that's ever played in the game. I mean, that's saying a lot, but I think he is. What he's been able to do, the Super Bowls, the leadership, the big game moments that the way he performed on the big stage. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd love to see him come back. And again, the Patriots really, really missed him this year.
Alabama born and Alabama bred, Baumhauer's Victory Grill has been serving up legendary fun and legendary food for nearly 40 years with their full menu of scratch-made American classics and all your game day favorites, plus wall-to-wall TVs to watch all the games, state-of-the-art sound systems as well. At Baumhauer's Victory Grill, it's game day every single day. New location in Vestavia and locations all throughout the Jay Barker Radio Network. And Baumhauer's Victory Grill, legendary fun and legendary food. We'll continue in this first hour hour of the Jay Barker Show here on this Wednesday edition. A lot more to get into. Brian Passett going to be joining us at 1 o'clock. We'll talk about Alabama and Auburn tonight in men's basketball, that matchup at Coleman Coliseum, and much more. We'll be back live from AVX Audio Video Excellence.
You're listening to The Jay Barker Show, live from the AVX studios in downtown Birmingham.
Some news coming out today, and a lot of us been following Najee Harris as far as what his decision might be. And as far as his returning to Alabama or NFL, and a lot of people have been weighing towards him returning just based on being back in Tuscaloosa.
Yep.
Charlie Potter this morning reportedly putting out that reported to be returning for senior season per Charlie Potter. And he's been talking about that for a little while. And we were talking earlier, Najee is kind of a quiet guy and kind of does things a little bit different than others. And, he is definitely, I think, could benefit from coming back into the season and not only putting up the numbers, but also improving his draft stock right now. I still think if he'd have gone to the NFL, if he got to a workout, I think he'd have been very impressive in his workout, and I think he probably would have moved up in those slots. But the field this year is very packed.
Huge. There's like 10 really good running backs in this class, guys. But I will tell you this, for Alabama and their offense now, you look at the returning guys now that are coming back from the offensive line on back, Devontae Smith, you got Jalen Waddle, who will be a junior now. The quarterback situation, we know what Mac Jones could do. You've got a guy in the quarterback room now that's the best recruit in the country. I think Alabama's going to be dynamic, and I think they're going to be fine on offense. But here's the good news. Defensively, with Dylan Moses back and all the pieces that played this year, I think Alabama's got the making, again, of a national championship team. Got to go out and perform, but having this senior leadership, Antonio, Bama has not had the alpha dogs around. I'm talking about in terms of seniors. Now you got Leatherwood. Now you got Dylan Moses. Now you got Najee back. You got Landon Dickerson on the offense, Deontay Brown. All these seniors that are going to be part of this team moving forward. That's probably the best thing. Nick Saban, quite frankly, hadn't had that the last couple of years. This year, Bama's got a lot of guys they could call alpha dogs coming back on this team.
It's good to have alpha dogs. It's good to have good senior leadership. The problem is how many of these guys you're going to have out there playing on the football field is going to be concerned about getting hurt and messing up their draft status. This has started to become a problem in college football, a trend that coaches are having to try and deal with as guys trying to protect themselves during the season so they don't get hurt
They dealt with it this year on the defensive side of the ball.
To mess up their draft status. And I feel this way. If you're there, be 100% committed. The easiest way for you to get hurt is to be out there half doing it or trying to protect yourself. That's when the guys get hurt. So if you got all these seniors coming back and you're talking about these alpha dogs, and your best leadership may come from juniors and sophomores, because at this point, their mindset is not thinking about the NFL. They're committed to the University of Alabama. And I believe in leadership this way. I don't need to hear you. Lead by example.
Very well. So they got 9 guys, 9 true freshmen that played on defense against Michigan. So that kind of goes right about what you're saying. The leadership's going to have to come from younger guys. It sure is good to have number 32 back in the middle.
Yeah. My buddy Stuart Mandel, who I spent a lot of years with at Sports Illustrated, who's now with The Athletic, just came out with his preseason top 20 for next year.
Yeah.
I just want to run through it really quick just to get your guys' reaction. 1 is Clemson. It's not surprising. 2, Ohio State with Justin Fields coming back. 3, Alabama. 4, Georgia. 5, LSU. 6, Penn State. 7, Florida. 8, Oregon. 9, Oklahoma. And 10, Notre Dame. Seems a little high for Notre Dame.
Yeah, and you know what? They're going to host, keep your calendar on November 7th. Clemson goes to Notre Dame, and Alabama plays LSU that afternoon as well, or that evening. So that's going to be a pretty pivotal game in terms of the college football playoff race next year. But seeing Georgia in the top 4 right now, I would not put Georgia in the top 4 with all the questions they got on offense. I know they got a ton of talent over there, but that talent underperformed this past year. And so there's a couple other teams I would take a look at in the top 5 right now and go from there. But look, these way too early top 25s. They're everywhere. But I think the consensus right now, according to Vegas, it's Clemson and Alabama. Those are the 2 favorites to win the
George,
national
is it
title.
4 right now? Is that what you got?
Yeah, that's what Stewart has Georgia at 4. I mean,
I'm not seeing that.
You lost Jake Fromm. You lost both your tackles. You lost guard. You lost Swift.
And
I mean, you
Solomon
lost
McKinley went out as well.
I mean, just so much of the
Cater's
interior.
gone.
Yeah. So to me, they lost a lot of weapons and what's up front of that line for them to be put in that number 4 spot right now.
How about this? Vegas says Clemson 2-1 to win the national title. Alabama 4-1. LSU is 9-2. Ohio State 7-1. Georgia's 10-1. Then Florida 15-1. OU 22-1. Notre Dame 25-1. And Texas 25-1. So that's what Vegas says about who's going to play for the title next year.
what long shot do you like there?
I would say Florida at 15-1. They've got a chance to take that next step, and a next step for them would be getting to Atlanta and a win over Georgia next year. I think Dan Mullen and his team is really close. 10 wins a year ago, 11 this year. And so if I had to look at somebody that could make that next step, it would be Florida with their returning quarterback Kyle Trask and all the weapons they got on offense.
I think keep an eye on Texas with Sam Ellinger coming back. And with Oklahoma perhaps being a little bit down because
Your boy Spencer Rattler.
I know, but he doesn't have much experience, so
and not a lot of experienced wide receivers as well. I think Oklahoma's going to take a dip, but it's all subjective. But Clemson has everybody back, and then Alabama. That's the old familiar team you go with right there to get to the playoff.
But Oklahoma had what was it 3 or 4 5-star receivers came in last year?
They did.
We're talking about with Jalen. They have
yeah.
this freshman coming in, so that they're going to have a little bit of
They
experience.
got talent.
They got talent,
There's
not
no doubt.
experience.
But problems on defense still abound.
Russ Mitchell, who we've had on our show, I saw this tweet last night, and I
like Russ.
He's hilarious. He said the SEC has won 10 of the last 14 national championships, plus played in all of them but one, the Ohio State-Oregon game, and not merely a one-team dominating a weak conference. He said 5 different have played, 4 have won. No other conference comes close to the SEC, so that's true.
Man, yeah, you're right. I mean, the Florida State team that won the national title in 2013, then Ohio State in 14. Other than that, it's been an SEC West team that's been in the title game or won it. Alabama's won 4, Auburn won, and then LSU won 2. So 6 of those titles came from SEC West teams. And then we talked to a coach yesterday in the SEC West that's going to make this thing a little bit more interesting, Mike Leach. So the West is going to be really, really good next year.
Yeah, you look at some of the odds we were talking about as far as winning the national championship. Some of the Heisman Trophy winner odds. Trevor Lawrence is 7-2 right now from Clemson is at number 1. Justin Fields, Ohio State 4-1. Keaton Slovis out of USC is the quarterback there at 9-1. We were talking about Chuba Hubbard earlier, and Oklahoma State's running back 10-1. Mac Jones, Alabama quarterback 10-1. Yeah, there you go. Sam Ellinger, the Texas quarterback, 10-1. Spencer Rattler, Oklahoma's quarterback, 10-1, and Tanner Morgan, Minnesota quarterback, 10-1. And then you got Derek Stingley Jr., LSU cornerback and wide receiver, 16-1 from LSU. So that's it goes down the list. But Mac Jones sitting at that number 5 spot. At 10-1.
I got to ask you guys. I want to hear y'all's opinion. I thought Trevor Lawrence took a step back in that national title game. I know it was LSU, but I just didn't think he performed very well down the stretch. And I think he's got a ways to go to get back to being everything we thought he could be. But the way he threw the ball the other night, underthrowing receivers, overthrowing receivers, I thought he had his worst game as a starter at Clemson during this 29-game win streak. I thought it was just a poor performance by him.
I think Jay did a really good job yesterday breaking down just when a quarterback is off. And Jay, it was, for whatever reason, Trevor Lawrence was just off on Monday night.
Yeah, a lot of it had to do with LSU putting pressure on him and making him feel a little bit uncomfortable at times and where they were pressuring him from. But he seemed like this at times trying to overthrow, and the ball was coming out and wobbling on him, trying a little bit too hard as far as that instead of just relaxing, letting it happen like he's done so many times before. So I don't know if he began to feel a little bit of pressure as the game went on, but that kid's very, very talented. And he's, the good thing about him, we saw Joe Burrow, his progression this year, just in one more year, and he's sitting there at 23. Trevor Lawrence is, 19, 20-year-old, still a young guy, this second year at Clemson. And for him, the progression he'll make from sophomore to junior year, there'll be a big improvement there as well at the quarterback position.
Watching the game, what I think happened to Trevor Lawrence was as the game progressed and LSU started to get more pressure on him, his mindset went back to high school and when he won last year's national championship. And his mindset starts to tell him, you got to be the man now. You got to win this. You got to win this football game. And I think he went to this press mode to, I got to be the man now. I got to win the game. And if you watched him a few times when they showed him throwing the football, you could see there were times where he was squeezing that football, trying to throw it. And I think one of the announcers made the comment when I think Kurt Herbstreit said it, when you start to squeeze that football and tighten press on it more, you start to lose control of the football. And I think that's what he was pressing so much. And he started putting that football in the chokehold that when he was letting it go, it was all over the place. And I think if he had to just watch Joe Burrow play during the course of the game, cool, calm, never got out of rhythm, stay with the game plan, even though it wasn't looking good early and Clemson had him confused, he stayed with the game plan and he stayed with what he knew and he stayed calm. And I think if Trevor Lawrence had have stayed that way instead of starting to press when they got down, I think the outcome would have been a little different.
I wasn't happy with the play calling either. I thought Jeff Scott, he's taking the job at South Florida as the head coach down there. I didn't think their play calling had any continuity in it. But think about this, too. Think about what Tua did to that defense LSU had. I mean, the night he had on one leg, basically, with 5 touchdowns and nearly 500 yards passing against that team. And listen, there's no doubt that LSU's defense from the Alabama game on, the improvement that they made, was significant. And their secondary, we know how good that is.
Was he still? Was he calling that night, Jeff Scott? He was still.
He was there. He was
See, that's my whole point. If you get a guy that takes a job as a head coach with another school, let him go. Mentally, he's not there because he has to recruit.
Yeah, one foot in, one foot out.
Yeah.
So, Trevor, you were talking about that as far as the gripping and stuff. It reminded me what he did in the second half was what he did the first series against Alabama last year, and then got over it. You know, but he was throwing the ball high, the ball was selling on him and stuff.
Pick six certainly helped.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, crawfish season just around the corner. Call today to Cajun Steamer. Pre-book your crawfish bowl. Available for pickup and delivery. Just call them at 844-TO-GO. That's 844-TOGEAUX. Also, don't forget Mardi Gras coming up. Fat Tuesday this year. They got a celebration going on February 25th. Drink specials, live music, Mardi Gras swag, and much more. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned to all their special events going on at the Cajun Steamer by following them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter today. It's at Cajun_Steamer. That's at Cajun_Steamer. And the brunch on Saturday and Sunday, you'll love it. From 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. for a handcrafted brunch menu, drink specials, a perfect excuse to have Sunday fun day all weekend long. And you can do it at the Cajun Steamer. They're throughout our listening area across the Jay Barker Radio Network and right here in Birmingham as well, and Trussville and Patton Creek. All right, we'll continue. Jay Barker Show. We got Brian Passing, color analyst for the Crimson Tide men's basketball tonight. Auburn and Alabama coming back. We'll also have some comments from Bruce Pearl yesterday talking about and leading up to this matchup coming up tonight. Live from AVX Audio Video Excellence. We'll be back.
You're listening to The Jay Barker Show, live from the AVX studios in downtown Birmingham.
If we look back at a few of the past press conferences, I'm probably saying the same things over and over again. We got to play a little better this week to beat this team on our opponent because we continue to play better and better teams. Really impressed by what Coach Oates is doing at Alabama. They are one of the fastest teams in the country. They're third in the country in tempo. That's hard to do. I mean, they're getting it and they're going. They're playing with great freedom, and they're the best three-point shooting team in our league. They're hard to guard because of it. They use Alex Reese like we use Anthony McLemore, and they kind of put you in a difficult position as far as how you choose to guard that action. I tell you, I look at their record, and we'll say that they're 6-3 in their last 9 games, and 3 of those losses were at Kentucky, which was a very late possession game, at Florida where they had a 20-point lead or a big lead, and then at Penn State where they led most of the game. Otherwise, they'd be 9. They would have won their last 9 games instead of just being 6-3.
Bruce Pearl giving a lot of credit to Nate Oates and the Alabama Crimson Tide basketball tonight, and they'll be matching up at Coleman Coliseum. And man, Bruce Pearl, this Auburn team has been excellent this year, and it's going to be a tough go for the Crimson Tide tonight, but they have been impressive at times, and leading Florida by 21. The character of that team building and growing, and knowing how to keep that lead, not letting a team come back. They play Kentucky pretty much late into the game against them, and able to win the Mississippi State game. Then so 6-3, and he talked about they easily could be 9-0 over the last thing. So giving a lot of praise to Nate Oates. Yeah, it is tough. And Auburn in T-Town, this is one where at least you got them at home. Maybe the crowd can be a difference and give them some energy. And but a game like tonight, they're gonna have to play their best basketball in order to win. Yeah,
the schedule didn't do them any favors to have to go to Florida and to Kentucky in the first week of the season in terms of the SEC. It doesn't get any more difficult than that. But they've played extremely well. They are fun to watch. They've got an offensive plan now. They didn't have one the last couple of years, but Nate Oates is getting the best out of this team. They are relentless on both sides of the ball. They're fun to watch, and they're the best three-point shooting team in the SEC right now, and second nationally.
They have an identity, and they didn't have one with Avery Johnson. They didn't. It seems like they haven't had one for years, frankly, going even back to the Anthony Grant era. And now they have a clear identity, and that's just to run, and shoot. Just shoot.
But they've been very accurate.
Shoot if you're open.
Yeah, they've been very accurate.
I think Alabama's best chance tonight, and I am a broken record when it comes to saying this, but it's Petty. I mean, if Petty has a big game, I think Alabama's got a real chance to pull off the upset.
Yeah, Kyra Lewis is playing extremely well now, kind of settling into his role, pushing the ball up the field. And then Jaden Shackelford has got to play well, too. He is a really, really good outside shooter. I don't think he shoots enough. He needs to get some quality threes tonight. Alabama's got a real chance. Auburn is a 2.5-point favorite tonight at Coleman Coliseum.
The key, I feel, to Bama winning tonight is to keep the game close and finish. That's their biggest problem right now, is they don't know how to finish. When they figure out how to finish the game, they're going to be something special in basketball, especially in the SEC. Right now, if they can keep the game close, where Auburn tonight, keep it close and finish, they'll beat Auburn. But they're going to have to figure out how to finish. And I don't mean one or two players figuring out how to finish, but learning how to finish as a team. When they figure that out, they're definitely going to be on their way.
I think this Auburn team, and interested to hear what you guys have to say. I mean, they're ranked 4th in the country. I mean, this is, I think, the best team in the SEC right now. So this is a big opportunity for Alabama tonight.
Game's not a sellout yet, by the way, and and Pearl encouraged Auburn fans to buy tickets.
Buy them up, yeah, sure did.
Tip-offs at 8:00 on ESPN2.
Yeah, you look at also Sports Reference put out about Bruce Pearl's teams since 2018 to 2020. He has 3 of his teams are the best 4 teams all time for Auburn Tigers, 1999 being their best all time. But 3 of the 4 are his from this 2018 to 2020 season. So pretty amazing what he's done.
If I'm Auburn, the money that I gave Gus, I'll take it back and give it to Bruce.
That might be happening if he gets to another Final Four, buddy.
All right, we'll continue again live from AVX, the Jay Barker Show, and Scott Moore from My Talk, SEC, Lars Anderson, Antonio Langham. I'm Jay Barker. Hour number 2 coming up next. We got Brian Passink, color analyst of the Crimson Tide. We'll get his thoughts on this game tonight between Alabama and Auburn at Coleman Coliseum. We'll be back.